Hey everybody, it is Tuesday, August 17th. Just taking a look at the market for the morning. This is the 1 hour chart of the S&P 500. So we had some really nice price action yesterday. Price came down into this supply zone, and I'd mentioned at yesterday's analysis, I took a paper trade off of that, and you can see the strong buying that came right out of that, right? So that was a really nice move. My only regret is not taking that in my live account, but I put it on overnight and just didn't want to have to be worrying about it. So, we got a nice little pullback in the overnight session. And there was a bit of volume here, this dotted line here at 57.25. So there's a bit of volume, right in here. And we broke down below it, and then you can see we kind of came up and retested it right here from the underside. And that's basically where we are at right now. And what we're sort of pinned between that and this right here, right? So this little volume right here, we're kind of just ranging between those two things. So just something to be aware of. Now, I don't really expect this volume to be significant right here, this stuff right here. I don't expect it to be that significant and to hold. So I'm not like too concerned about it, but again, just something to definitely be aware of as you are sort of preparing for the day's trading. Being that we're under this volume here, I'm a little inclined to think we might get a bit more of a pullback, right, in the sort of immediate term. But we did see this, this buying come in here. You can see this wick here. So there was definitely buyers present buying off of this area, sort of defending those positions. But I think if, given that the buyers came in but couldn't push us back above this consolidation area, I think that's a little bit telling, right? At least that's the way I interpret it. So you can kind of see, this is the bulk of that volume from up here, right? It's all the volume right here, and we're stuck underneath that still, right? So we're stuck right underneath that. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So right now my bias is bearish, but this right here is our last structural low. So as long as we stay above that, we would expect the trend to resume at some point. If we break that low, then we might look for a deeper pullback. I'm still honestly kind of looking for pullbacks into like this area a little bit, like the 42, anything from 02 up to like 12 or 13. I'm sort of looking for potential pullbacks into those regions just from this larger thing here. Now we got a little bit of a test. This was pretty efficient, but we might come down a bit deeper. And if we do, that would be another area I'd look to go long on, like a swing style trade. Right now, going into the open session, though, there's not really a lot as far as interesting levels that I'm looking at. So we have, this really strong price action here. This moved so quick that there was really no time for any significant volume to build. This was really aggressive buying, and you can see like it's just an extremely thin profile. So there's literally no levels in here that are interesting to me, other than the levels that we already kind of noted that are created by some of these other consolidations, right? But again, like even this was very much, pre-market volume. You can see how thin it is. There's just, most of this was, overnight price action, just not really convincing at all. So, yeah, just not a lot to kind of write home about, honestly. I think I'm just going to kind of see how the market unfolds. One thing that's interesting to note, if we kind of pull back out and we look at NASDAQ, I mean, NASDAQ is still just sideways. So we're kind of inside of this low to high range, and we've just been inside of that for the past little while. So nothing really exciting there. Same thing on the Russell, right? So Russell's in an even bigger sideways range. You can see on the hourly chart, I can't even zoom out far enough. Here, let me get rid of those. Can't even zoom out far enough on the hourly. We got to look at a 4 or an 8 hour chart to really get the scope of this sideways range that the Russell's in. And we were kind of rotating around the main point of control of this whole thing. And you can see that now we're sort of breaking down below that volume point of control. Probably, maybe we're going to retest the bottom of that range a little bit. But, a lot of times when you see this start to happen, right, you can see how perfect this bell curve is. And you can see how we've been going from low to high, to the low end, to the high end, to the low end, and then kind of work our way up, and then kind of break down low to the high end, touch that high end. And then we kind of, again, we're sort of doing this. So now I'm kind of thinking, break down, retest this low again, see if that low holds, and then go back up. Like that's just a guesstimate. There's really not a lot of structure to base that off of, but we're also inside of a range inside of that. So we've got this range right here, and then all this price action is inside of this initial range here too. So that's also something that we want to be aware of, so that things are kind of chopping around. We need this low to hold if we're going to assume that we're going to kind of continue up here. If this low breaks down, then I think we're testing some stuff down here on the Russell. And I know I don't normally talk about the Russell a lot, but just get rid of this thing. Got way too many profiles on here. I don't really talk about the Russell a ton, but the S&P is not giving us a lot to sort of work off of. So if we're going to break down, I think next little area to test would be this level down here. Not a really profound level. It's not extremely pronounced, but it's just sort of the next anything that's on the chart, right? And that's at 2128.6 on the Russell. It was a little bit tested with this wick here, so it's not, again, not a great level. But if we're going to hold this low, that would be sort of the area that I would want to see that take place. And the level's right at the top of the zone, and the whole zone looks something like that, right? So that would be what I'd be looking to hopefully kind of hold or take place. Otherwise, we could get a deeper breakdown. Kind of same thing, like NASDAQ keeps testing the top here. Now NASDAQ, as opposed to the Russell, has been staying above the volume point of control from its larger rotation. So if we look at this sort of whole thing cumulatively, right? Well, actually, I can't even say that because the point of control is so high, but probably previous to the past couple of days, I'm guessing the point of control was a bit lower. Let's take a look here. Nope, it's always been high. So that's interesting. So yeah, we're just sort of hugging that. It's still pretty bullish, the fact that of this rotation, the value is higher, right? It's not staying kind of centered down here. So we'll just see sort of how the market deals with that. You see NASDAQ's pullback yesterday wasn't quite as clean as the S&P. It did probe these lows here, but the NASDAQ also wasn't in as clean of a bullish structure. From a bullish structure standpoint, the NASDAQ just had to stay above this low right here, right? Because we had really that, actually, sorry, let me start that again. We had this swing up, low, actually it's this low is really the last relevant low here. Nothing else really matters. Whatever happens in here, it doesn't really matter. Our bullish structure is intact as long as we stay above this low here, which is the bottom end of this channel at 74.25-ish, right? So just something to be aware of there. This is all sort of microstructure inside structure, and that's probably why this wasn't as pertinent, for this to hold. You can see even this was like a micro down structure. We had high, high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So this structure, we actually sort of expected this low to get taken out. And the fact that it just barely got taken out and then the buyers came in aggressively, to me means that this little retracement move is probably over. That's what that means to me, at least. So I'd sort of expect to see maybe NASDAQ push now above these highs. It would be nice to see if it can break above 15,175. Would be a nice level to see the NASDAQ get up above. And whoops. And continue some bullish momentum, because NASDAQ's been sideways since end of July. So that's kind of it. Crude's chopping around. We took some nice swings off crude. Actually took one. Go back to the hourly. So we took a little swing here. There was a little consolidation in here, so we caught that move down. So that worked out nice. I had a gold swing that didn't work out. I was expecting this consolidation here created a lot of volume that got blown through, and I was expecting gold to kind of retest that and have a reaction, and it just didn't. So I actually took a stop on that one, which is no big deal. So, gold's now pushing up, but bear in mind if you're trading gold, look at all this volume right here. There's also volume right here. So this level right around 1802.4, and then even up higher, 1813, it's going to be a bunch of resistance there. So just be aware of that. If you're trading gold and you're bullish on gold, we really want to see that structure. We want to just make sure we don't get stuck in that resistance, rather. You can see gold was moving up and then just kind of retracing here and sort of double bottomed and then retest again, long wick. So we might come up and break all this. This is now a much bigger picture chart. So we might come back and break all this. And bear in mind, this is all of these tests here are from volume that occurred way back here, right? Check this out. So we actually took an initial long-term position off of these volumes here. So here, let me make this even more clean. See it? So you had this volume here, nice little reaction test, and then it came down deeper, these volumes here, and now moving up, and then retested them one more time. And all of this really just looks like, if we look at the weekly, high, low, higher high, retracing. This isn't a very powerful higher high, but there is this volume here. Now there's a bunch more volume down here too, but all this kind of just looks like a retracement and then possibly getting ready for a bullish move up. It's a little bit hard to tell. And if we look at this, we make it a little bit more pronounced. Whoops, wrong tool. Let's make this a little more pronounced. You can see there's actually a bunch, even more volume down here. So, gold might dip lower still, right? Tons of volume down here from the accumulation area. So, we'll see what gold does. But, I think there's reason to believe it could push up from here, but there's also reason to believe it could test, these levels. Wow, I am not hitting the right tools today. These levels could test these levels. Again, if we look at this as a bigger picture kind of thing, right? This is a massive accumulation structure, and you can see the point of control of that entire structure lines up with those levels right there. So I think actually like 1297 would be such a beautiful area to buy gold if we just look at this from a long term, even just looking at it on the monthly chart, right? So there's big accumulation down here. If we come back and retest some of that, that would be an area I'd love to get sort of long-term bullish on gold down in there. Whether or not it'll come down that low, time will tell. Time will tell, because we've got, again, that volume here. 1741 would be another area to try if it does dip down. We just have to see. Like right now, we're not, big picture structure is not bullish yet. We're really kind of come down, lower high, and then going for lows. So this looks bullish, this wick, but this could still come down more and break those lows on us. We don't really know what's going to happen with that yet. So we just got to be careful of it. So that's some of the stuff that I'm looking at. I know I kind of bounced around a little bit this video, but because the price action yesterday didn't leave us with a lot of sort of footprints in the market, I just wanted to poke around on some other charts and just see what we got here. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. If you want to join us in our trade room, dpmtrades.com, you can click on community, and then you'll see there is a free option for the trade room. You can join our free option, and it's perfectly fine to do. And then yeah, otherwise I'll see you in the next morning analysis, guys. Take care.